This episode was made possible by New Masters Academy, the world's absolute #1 art school in the universe. Click the link down below for a free 7-day trial. Thank you, New Masters Academy. I am in your mind. I am in your... Hey everybody, welcome back to the Honey and Apps with After Hours podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Vincent, a background designer for the Hollywood animation industry.
And I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today we're going to talk about making money as an artist in 2021 and what to expect.
But before we get into it, make sure to touch, jingle, smash all my bells and buttons to help the YouTube algorithm. Please and thank you.
Thank you so much. You are looking fantastic. It is the middle of summer. I see you're looking very toasty. I'm looking toasty. Everyone's just looking very, very nice, very, very healthy. So good to see you again on this beautiful Monday.
You're going to have a great week because you're listening to this podcast.
Yes. Okay, let's start this off with a little bit of a story, yes? So, I'm not sure if you noticed, Janet posted a really vulgar music video last week. Last week, your time, at least. And the night before, so it came out on Wednesday, right? Mm-hmm. So the night before, we finished up and we were tired. So we just wanted to, treat ourselves and turn off our brains. So as soon as we finished up, dotting our I's and crossing our T's, we were like, let's just treat ourselves to a meal. Yes, we haven't eaten anything fun since our trip from Texas.
Yeah, to
recover from the food. So it's been a week and a half, basically. And we're like, oh, hey, okay, let's treat ourselves. And then let's watch a movie, just not worry and not worry about anything. Because I want to help explain this feeling of having made a piece of art that you just feel like, oh, yeah. I remember one of our teachers would say you should, draw on your sketchbook like you're taking a shit. You're going number 2, he would say. Uh-huh. And it's just he would explain it's just something you just gotta it just has to come out of you. Mm-hmm. And that feeling of when you haven't made a piece of art for yourself, something that you're really oh yeah, I need to that's a thing that I'm super, super, super proud of, and it's mine. It's nobody else's. Yeah. And the longer you have that feeling, but don't satisfy it, it does feel like you're holding in a big,
Kind of.
Yeah.
I call it the itchies.
You get the itchies. So now that we this music video thing, we've been planning for 2 months now.
A very long time.
Long time now. So now that we're done, I remember thinking that was a lot of investment. I felt like I had tunnel vision.
A lot of brain juice.
A lot of
creative juices.
But what it feels like is I feel super relieved. Yeah. I don't feel like I need to
yeah,
I don't have the itchies basically.
Yeah, normally we always have 1,000 different creative ideas running through our head all the time, and it makes it really hard to sit still and think.
Yeah, now there's just silence.
Yeah, because you
calm.
Yeah.
A calm state of mind because we did the art thing.
So we went out and we ate at Noodle Street, and then we watched the Tomorrow War.
Right.
And when we went out, we actually didn't plan to eat at Noodle Street.
No, we wanted to go to Cheesecake Factory.
And even before that, we wanted to go to all these different restaurants. So we go to our local mall, and we were like, oh my god, there are so many people out, but not enough people staffed up for all the restaurants and businesses. So there are lines out the door at every single establishment. So we went from the Cheesecake Factory in our local mall, and I was like, okay, I bet you in my hometown where no one goes. I don't know why you would go. There's a suburb. I bet that Cheesecake Factory is empty, and then we can at least, sit down and have a meal without having to wait an hour and a half, and then wait another hour for food or whatever.
So we drive all the way to Janet's hometown, which is about 30 minutes without traffic, about 45 with traffic, and there was traffic.
Yeah.
So we drove all the way there, and then we go to the Cheesecake Factory over there, full. Super packed. Yeah. The lobby, super packed.
Oh my god, we're not going to eat
The weirdest part about it, though, is not all the tables were filled up.
Yeah, that's how you, like, it seemed like there were only a few servers and probably a few cooks.
So they were understaffed.
Yeah. And so like, it was really tragic to me because I was like, wow.
Look at all your customers.
Yeah, like I would have eaten there
Yeah.
if it is at the first Cheesecake Factory, if I wasn't like, oh my god, this is a nightmare. I'm probably not gonna eat for 2 hours. So we were like, let's just find something in this mall. It was so sad. Like, that was our cheat meal.
Yeah.
And then normally we really like Noodle Street because it's like handmade noodles, very decent food. And
Yeah, so we go and we order the usual thing, and everything looks normal except the cut of the beef is different.
yeah.
Yeah, usually it's like this like really nice fatty piece of brisket, and
Yeah.
then it just seemed like, your average pho brisket.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is strange.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why? I came and I paid and I wanted.
What you thought you were supposed to be getting? Yeah.
But I have been listening to the news a lot, and I have been hearing there are a lot of shortages, like food supply shortages,
Like beef shortages.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. And then right before we did this, we saw the trailer for Dune, Denis Villeneuve's Dune, and then there was a Hot Wings.
Oh yeah.
Hot Wings.
It was like
commercial.
It was like Buffalo Wild Wings or something, but instead of like wings, it was.
Oh, it was Wingstop.
It was wing. Yeah,
Right.
there you go. It was a Wingstop commercial, and then like an animated like thighs, the word thighs, like slapped on top of like wings. So it's thigh stop. It's so bad. It's such a bad commercial.
It's such a bad
But
campaign.
I was like, okay,
why?
we're doing thighs now. Okay, I get it. I guess.
I would have just kind of like not made it a big deal
Yeah.
and just said, we're not, doing, everything right now. We don't have drumsticks for you right now. Okay?
I mean, I feel like if I went to Wingstop expecting wings and they gave me thighs and like, sorry, we're out of.
I guess I would be pretty mad.
Yeah. So I guess
would be pretty mad.
you have to make a low effort commercial for that, I guess.
It was such a low effort commercial.
It wasn't. At least like film the beautiful chicken thigh and make it look tasty and delicious in your Wingstop seasoning.
Use a B-roll from another
a different
ad or something.
I guess they wouldn't have because they don't normally do thighs, but
Oh my god.
yeah. So I was like, I guess it was like an animated thing that just slaps on top of.
And then I just felt like, God, I'm in America. And if I want my Noodle Street with the brisket I like, and if I want to go to Wingstop and get wings, I should goddamn be able to get wings. Okay? Like if I'm treating myself, which is like I'm like I did something like, I guess most people would like do good on their SATs or like get a job that they like. We directed a rap music video and we're really proud of ourselves. We're like, let's treat ourselves. And I wanted cheesecake. And I go to cheesecake because everybody's understaffed. And okay, fine. I'll go to my noodle place. And I go to the noodle place. And it turns out the meat's not right. And I know I sound like a spoiled American. But I'm like, man, if I want to go to Wingstop and get wings, I should be able to get Wingstop and get wings.
I'm more like, at least tell us what's going on. Clearly, there's something going on.
Yeah, at least be upfront with us.
Yeah.
It was disconcerting.
Yeah.
All of that whining TLDR, it's like, it's disconcerting to feel like, whoa, like, I can feel there's something not right.
Yeah.
With the
but you're
world.
not telling me.
Yeah.
You're not telling me why. But then we come back and we're like, whatever. It was still a very good meal in my opinion.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, I don't want to use my brain. I use my brain far too much. Like, I don't know if you're artists, so you should probably understand. When you go too hard, when you expend too much of your creative juices, at the end of it, you feel a little brain dead.
Yeah.
And you're like, I need to, like, not think. And that's why we love bad movies, actually. If they're, like, funny bad. So we were like, okay, we need something that's dumb, fun, that I can turn my brain off, not complain about, and just
And I was like,
watch.
oh, I know just the thing. I know, just the thing. It just seems so dumb and silly, and we're gonna have a good time. I know, like the meal was like just a mission just to accomplish, but we're going to watch Chris Pratt's The Tomorrow War on Amazon because it was free, and I was like, okay, fine, let's just watch something that's literally that. It seems like it's a fun, dumb sci-fi action adventure movie.
Yeah, that's literally all I wanted from this movie. Dumb and fun. Like, it seems like it would have delivered, but you have a lot of gripes about it.
Yeah, I really did not like the movie. I did not enjoy the movie because I'm already getting like really angry and I can't think.
Well,
I left the room in a fit of rage at a certain point.
And then we actually stopped watching it like a third in, and we couldn't find anything as dumb and as fun, so we went back to it eventually.
And then we like kind of watched almost all of it.
Yeah, and
then we couldn't.
Yeah, we really couldn't. Mainly because, so my main gripe with it is like when it's dumb and when it's fun, I love the movie because it's giving me everything as advertised. But then there's a whole other half of the movie that's actually trying to be very, very serious, and it's just not done very well all across the board in terms of acting, directing, and just story writing. Also,
Chris Pratt, not very fun. No, not a very fun lead.
Yeah.
Like, I know he has the wisecracks and, like, you know, I'm like, oh, charming Chris Pratt, but I don't know, man. It's just not fun to watch.
Yeah.
Not fun to watch.
And
kind of stiff.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah. He has, like, 3 faces. Like, Goofy and,
the puppy
sad
dog.
puppy dog.
The puppy dog.
And confused. those are his three emotions that he's like known for. Like, I bet you can even see it right now in your head. And the dumb fun. I know, like, I saw the Rotten Tomatoes score. It was like the critics really hated it, but it had a higher audience score. And I understand that about like dumb fun movies.
What was that? I think it was 50 for critics, and then like audience was like 70.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tend to gravitate to those type of movies when they're like dumb fun movies. Like, yeah, if it doesn't have to be good. It just has to be fun, and then it wins me over. I was like, okay, I'll give it a chance. It must be a good bad movie. But then my problem with the cheesiness is it to me, as someone who has watched a lot of these bad movies I like a lot of them, it feels like paint by numbers Hollywood snark.
Right. And the jokes were not very funny. Don't you think?
Because you can see them from a mile away.
Right. And they feel forced.
And like, not creative.
And then you told me that, like, there are times where they have scripts and they literally give it to a comedian writer for a comic pass.
Yes. So if that's news to you, sometimes you have like a script.
And that's for real? Is that for real?
Yeah. I won't name the movie, but I know exactly a movie that I know for sure did this.
Oh my God.
You have a serious script, but it's devoid of any sort of comedy, and the studio, for some strange reason, is like, we really need comedy in this movie. It needs more light parts. Like they probably screened it or something. It was like, we need like a comedy pass. So they literally, after the fact, usually after like it's shot sometimes, or like it's in like the pickup phase, where they'll like hire a comedian, a comedy writer, to do like a comedy pass and insert snarky jokes. That's why sometimes they feel out of place. And
because they are out of place.
Yeah, because it's not worked into the story. So like I like the kind of jokes that are based on either like in like baked into the story. Like, it couldn't have been written after the fact. Like, it's in the character of the whatever, or it's like a line that like you say at the beginning of the movie and that pays off somehow at the end of the movie and stuff like that. And you can kind of like do that after the fact too.
I think
but, like,
lots
not in
of
a good way.
Marvel jokes like to point out the absurdity of everything.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cheap.
Yeah.
Because of course, isn't it all absurd? Isn't movies absurd? Isn't telling
comics
storytelling
and superheroes
absurd? Yes.
in their underwear absurd?
Yes, I see how
I
absurd
see.
this is.
Yeah.
Like I went to the movie theater to watch an absurd movie. It reminds me of I think in the second Avengers movie, Hawkeye had like this gripe about, look, this is all ridiculous. And I'm like, yes. As an audience member, yes, I know. I know it's all ridiculous.
So
it's not, baked in. It's not necessary to point out how ridiculous everything is.
Yeah, so like it really so if you didn't also already know, apparently there are some rules in like screenwriting where like every few minutes there needs to be a joke in order to make sure your lowest common denominator stays focused and attentive. That's a thing. And so if sometimes jokes appear in the most inappropriate places, that's what that happened in this movie, and I was like, oh my god. Yeah. So the cheesiness and the funness didn't even feel like a lot of it was on purpose. Like I feel like a lot of the stuff that was too expensive to not be on purpose. I like those jokes. I like the more physical stuff with like the aliens and with the actors with each other. But then when you sometimes when it's like a joke written after the fact, when it's just it's literally a joke. It's like a like, oh, who's knocking?
Right.
Orange. Like it's that kind of joke. It's all dialogue based.
I see.
Yeah. And
so we just kind of had a lackluster night. Right?
Yeah.
And then we went to bed, and then we were just like, man, kind of miss Dallas.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to have. How easy would it have been to just go like, I want to treat myself for all the hard work and all that stuff I did. I'm going to go get some barbecue.
It's normally so easy in LA.
Normally.
Yeah.
But it's like everybody is so upset here.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't seem like they have the I don't know.
Wanting to do a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That thing.
No one has the motivation.
But it's not their fault. It's just things are kind of screwed up here.
Yeah.
Teetering in and out of lockdown still.
Yeah. Masking, no masking.
Mask, no mask. Oh, but everything's great though. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
That's fine. This whole experience, every time we go out, we observe the world. And then when we get into this headspace, I notice a lot of things where I can now make predictions about what's going to happen in the future. Mm-hmm. And by doing that for myself, I have successfully prepared myself for impending doom in terms of like getting a job, making sure I keep my job, making sure I stay afloat with money, making money, and like all those things are actually kind of important for artists. We can't,
We can't just be like, oh, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Crossing our fingers and stuff.
So I wanted to talk about some of the things that I've observed. I don't know if you guys have observed this as well, but also like comparing and contrasting it with our fairly recent experiences in Arizona and then Texas, because I think a lot of Californians or people in states where they're like more locked down than the more like not lockdown states, they truly don't understand what it's like literally just a few states away. Mm-hmm.
A 3-hour plane ride away.
Yeah. And it was amazing. So here, the food and the restaurants, if you check any of the Yelp reviews just to see if they're still open, like the lockdowns haven't shuttered them and they're still operating, a lot of the more recent reviews are really, really bad here. And I've noticed it across the board going to a lot of different my previous favorite spots to eat, that the food is just really bad. Partly because it just feels like the people don't care anymore. Meanwhile,
Lack of motivation or something. What is
lack of staff, lack of motivation. Everyone just doesn't want to be there, and when they are there, they're really, really busy. But then when we recently were in Dallas, it was completely not like that. Like, it reminded me of being in LA again. Like, we kept saying that, like, I'm not sure we want to move here, because if we were to move to a more open state, more we would want to leave LA. We don't want like a lesser not quite LA. Just saying, Dallas is like LA. The architecture is almost the same too, other than the fact that you have bricks.
They need the bricks. The wind. Yeah. The wind is crazy.
Tornadoes and stuff.
They need the bricks. We don't need the bricks.
No.
If we had bricks, we would die.
Yeah.
Because of the earthquakes.
The wood, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in Texas, you can, literally, it reminded me of what the world was like pre-2020.
Right.
Yeah.
There were moments where I would be sitting in a restaurant and just like, daydreaming and stuff. And then I would just feel like I'm at home. Mm-hmm. Like really feel at home, because it felt like how it was right before the lockdowns.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know why the attitude is better over there, but the food is really good.
Yes.
Like,
there was no
so good
bad restaurants.
Jesus Christ. We tried. Everywhere we went was so good.
It was very good.
Oh my God.
I think I was like puffy for like 2 weeks straight, just because of how much food we ate.
Yeah. And I just kind of wanted that. A little bit of like, I want to treat myself so hard, but like, I just kind of like went to bed thinking like, okay, well, that's just how it is over here.
Yeah. But also, like, it feels bad because, again, looking at the like Cheesecake Factory, that was not like the only restaurant that was like that we went to in the past, I don't know, few months. A lot of the times these restaurants are trying so hard. They're trying to meet demand. The people who are at work, they're like really, really frantically trying to take care of everyone, even though like half the restaurant is empty because there's just not enough servers to serve everyone, or not enough cooks to cook for everyone. And then people are really unhappy that they have to wait like 2 hours just to eat. They didn't expect this. They thought, hey, California...
it'd be just like the old days.
Yeah, California's starting to open up. It'll be like normal, but the demand is there. Yeah. Like when we went to the first mall, we saw that it was packed full of people like I've never really seen it before, pre-lockdowns.
Yeah, this was just a Wednesday.
Yeah. This was not even like a Saturday. So people are out and they want to go to restaurants again, just have some sort of life after just being stuck inside for over a year. But they can't. Like, we can't just have a good time, versus like people were, I think, at full capacity in Texas. And so even if there was a line, we would get served like normal because the staffing was normal, like everyone was back at work, everything was normal again, and it felt good. So coming back here, it was like we didn't remind ourselves that we have to, if we want to eat out, we're gonna have to wait for 2 hours.
I felt like the culture shock of coming back home.
Yeah.
It sucked. We were at Dallas for four whole days, and we really like lived it up as hard as we could. So when we went back home, it was like, oh, I have to, deal with all of this stuff all over again.
A huge difference that I noticed between the two states too, interestingly enough, is that there are like no cops where we were at Dallas, and we drove everywhere, like all around the city. And I remember thinking, like, in the first 2 days, I don't even think I saw a cop car.
Yep.
But at the same time, I felt really safe. Whereas here, we came back, and we were a little like, why are there cops everywhere? like literally like on every
it just
block.
raises your stress levels a little bit.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And oddly enough, because of all the rioting and the protesting and the crime has skyrocketed in Los Angeles, I never thought I would feel thankful to see a lot of cops. But at the same time, I was really annoyed to see a lot of cops because I was like, more cops mean more authority in my goddamn hair. And I was really taken aback by that I actually feel less safe here with so many cops, where they're barely even able to do anything, honestly, because not only are, like, the saddest part about seeing a lot of, like, retail businesses that have a shop, a physical store or restaurant area, is they are trying to function with the rules in place, everything. They're just trying to meet all the regulations being thrown at them at the last minute, and they're jumping through hoops for it. Meanwhile, they're like, if you've driven through downtown LA recently, there are street vendors everywhere. It was crazy.
There's street vendors setting up in like parking lots that no one's using. Everywhere. It's like it reminds me of, like, I've always wanted to visit Hong Kong for the street food.
Yeah.
There are some sections of Western and Sunset where it's just street food.
Yeah.
Just for blocks and blocks and blocks. I was like, what the heck? That looks dope. We should eat there.
But normally, like pre-2020, that wouldn't have been okay. We had street vendors occasionally, but not like this.
Oh yeah, the cops would shut them down.
Yeah.
Like, oh, do you have a permit? All that stuff.
There's articles written all the time
Right.
about how, like, we hate how the cops shut down this beloved taco stand.
So essentially, what we mean is the cops aren't shutting down these things because they're not looking out for things like, do you have a permit?
Yeah, anymore.
Right.
Because how are the cops supposed to enforce all these street vendors when literally there are protests, rioting, and like robberies and violent crime that like skyrocketing every single night? Like, what are you supposed to... I'm still reading The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey, and if you don't already have an Audible subscription, head over to audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe podcast, where you will get 1 free audiobook or 2 free Audible original audiobooks. That's 3 audiobooks in total. That's audibletrial.com/the Honey and Absinthe podcast.
So all of this stuff, like you said, it was really interesting to see the differences between the states. And for me, it's kind of just baffling to see. So I'm from LA, all of my life, period. Like I don't go anywhere else. And in my, older age, I finally have, scrounged up enough money from working that, like, I'm finally going out places. And, like, it's kind of cool to see just going a state over, for example, like Arizona. I don't care. Nevada people are basically LA people.
Yeah.
So going to Arizona, I was like, people have a different way of being over there. Yeah. Slower living. Yeah. Slower way of life. And when we went to Arizona this year in February, that was basically when they started opening things up for the first time. And kind of, not really over here, but over at Arizona, everything was much more open. So, and everybody, and like we said before, everyone was so much more nicer, and took their time to say hello, and all of this stuff. And I was just like, man, it makes me feel like an awful person being a Californian.
Yeah.
But then we went to Dallas, and like, again, it's like a completely different way of life that I'm like, I cannot relate to. I do not care for sports. Like, I don't like sports. I'm like, and everyone over there is all about sports, and that's cool.
Family.
Yeah, and family, and that's it too. Like, we just like being in a studio, and I just want to make my art. We're very solitary people, but it's very communal over there. Actually,
people want to have drinks and
socialize and all this.
Go to the bar together, watch the latest game on TV.
Right. And our idea of a good time is like, I don't know, going to the movie, going to the movies.
Yeah.
And that's just like, you know, when we went to Dallas, we were like, this is a pretty cool place. It's just not, we're not going to live here.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't want to leave LA for just another version of LA. Like, going to Arizona to me felt a little bit like retiring.
Yeah.
Like,
I want to live that retirement
sleepier and different, like, scenery. Like, LA and Dallas was actually really similar, other than Dallas is just greener.
Yeah. The clouds over there in Dallas are crazy.
Yeah, there's thunderstorms.
Yeah, but there's, you know, I don't, when I go, I like Arizona. I am really infatuated with Arizona. I'm in love with the Arizona sky because it gets really teal. If you ever go over there, like, you gotta see the sky. It gets really teal and like super, super colorful. Like, if you do plein air paintings, you gotta, like, you know, have a weekend, get a nice, really cheap B&B over there in Arizona. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. But yeah, so I'm looking at the world and I'm like, okay, and I'm wiser now. Let's make some predictions.
Okay.
Let's make some predictions.
A lot of our predictions came very true.
In this first half of the year.
Yeah.
So let's make some more predictions.
Okay, so
we are basically in the middle kind of 2021.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Good time to check in.
A good time to check in. So basically what? I think, well, I don't really remember what all of our predictions were in the predictions episode, but one of them was like people are going to get angry and fed up. Did that happen?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And we made some predictions about the Animation Guild stuff.
Yes. Probably going to pan out exactly.
Right. I think so too. So, well, pretty good track record with the predictions.
Yeah.
But so let's make some new ones.
Okay, so I was thinking about this recently because we have a few conventions this year in the fall that are gearing up. And one of the really, like, demotivating things, I think, for a lot of people last year was knowing that there's no hope for any of the conventions for artists to make money. They're just not going to happen. If you had any hope, all the way till December, it was just never going to happen in California. But this year, especially as restrictions were being lifted a little bit, a lot of the conventions that were already kind of in the fall and winter time, they still pushed it back, but they were pretty confident that, like, oh, if we pushed it back to, like, really late fall, late winter, that it'll be fine. That finally, like, by then the patterns are that, like, oh, they're just gonna keep lifting restrictions, and then we'll be able to, like, do our thing, like, as normal, and we'll be ahead of the game because everyone basically canceled for 2022. Us knowing that we have those obligations, and also not, like, it'd be nice for some of us artists to make money again.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be cool to sell the things we've all been working on.
See our fans face to face again.
Yeah. So I was thinking about that, but then in California, specifically LA, we have to mask up again, even if you're, or maybe I should say that again. We have to mask up again, even if we got the poke.
Right. You have to say that.
Yeah. Which is really demoralizing, and with all the threats that are coming out by a lot of every side, all the politicians, basically, they're all working together on this. It just feels like they're threatening to lock us down again in the fall.
Us meaning Californians.
Yeah. I don't know if, like, other states are gonna follow suit, maybe, but that would be disastrous. But at the same time, like, I think that will happen because the last time I felt this kind of, like, the media and the people
Would you
in
like to
charge-
be wrong about this prediction?
Yes, I would love to be wrong about this, but it reminds me of last year. Like the news always preps you for something they're about to do, and for them to like already be prepping us by saying like we might have to again, it's like I think we will be, and I think
Get ready, basically.
yeah, and I think none of us are going to do a thing about it. So I think conventions for the latter half of 2021 are probably not going to be a thing unless they incorporate like passports. But I think that would be a really, really bad idea, not because of anything political, but because it's really, really hard to enforce and do that.
So flying
logistically.
Right. So flying again, going through the TSA, I felt like, oh, I've done this before. It's like going through the con security people.
Yeah.
And already, because of all the weird just the awful terrorist attacks from whatever 4 years ago or whatever, security has been super tight. And then you're gonna at conventions you're gonna add another layer of having passports, your convention pass, your ID, driver's license, bag check,
cosplay check,
weapon
check,
prop check, cosplay prop check. And it's just like, imagine Anime Expo with all of that.
It's already bad.
It's pretty bad.
And
it's just like how much, why are there so many barriers just to enjoy life?
Yeah. So like, I feel like people would be comparing it to, I don't know, like a music venue or something, because a lot of concerts have been happening requiring passports. But it's not quite the same, because at a convention, people carry so much stuff, and there are multiple different checks, like you said, like TSA, and it is already a logistical nightmare once they had to check. They added extra checks already because of all the crazy like terrorism stuff that happened the past, I guess, few years. So it already got bad. Like, imagine now trying to incorporate yet another probably few tests, and then like it's just a nightmare. And I was like,
and then you said that people would rather just not go.
Yeah, because I would rather not go. I would rather not go to these restaurants that I love, and just eat at home, because it's such a waste of time. And it's sad. It's really sad that like my experience isn't even going to be the same type of experience. And it would be the same, like, imagine having to like wait 10 hours to get into a convention. You're inside the convention for like 1 hour, and then you're like, I guess I have to go home.
That's awful.
It'll be awful. And everyone has to distance. We all have to wear masks. I would just not. I would. And as convention artists who are obligated to like, if they do require all these extra restrictions, I'm gonna have to wake up at like 4 a.m. just to like stand in line to get in, so I can like maybe make a few bucks, most likely make less money than I would normally, because social distancing or all that stuff. And I'd just be like, I guess I'd have to suck it up and do it, because we're booked for it. But I think more than likely, if we do have lockdowns, then conventions will probably just not happen.
I really don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Because I was really excited. I was really looking forward to it. But, hearing that we're, have to wear masks again, I was like, whoa, why are we going backwards? We did all of the things. We did what you said. We did everything you asked. We did everything you asked.
I knew it. I knew. Even if we did all the things, I knew that even if we did all the things, you give an inch, they take a mile, because this happens in the industry with our paychecks, and it's like, oh, we don't know about this streaming thing. We don't know how, like, if we're even gonna make money with this. So you guys, we're gonna pay you less for the exact same job, about a third less. How about that? And we were like, sure. 6 years later, we're still like, can we make it back to normal? And then they're like, no. No. So yeah, I knew people are very they don't want to start a fuss, and they don't want to put anything on the line. So I'm pretty sure it'll be fine. Except that what that means is, if let's say we do go back into lockdowns, our economy is already trying to recover, and I really do believe that if we do sensible things now, that we will be able to without too much lasting damage. It feels like we're all doing fine and that we're going back to normal. But if we lock down again, I fear for all the artists who already don't make much money, especially on their own, on their ability to make money again.
For making predictions, I think anime is going to explode.
You think?
Yeah, I think, as we talked about in the past few episodes, I think people are really discovering how amazing anime is, how it's just pure 100% escapism, and how there's not much of an offering here right now, but there's an abundance in anime land. And I don't know, I think that's going to be a huge thing to look out for in the next few years. Don't you think? How can artists take advantage of that? I mean, I think it's good to just be aware of it.
Yeah, I mean, how can artists take advantage of that? It's, if you are someone who likes it and likes making that kind of work, I think that's how you can take advantage, and in more ways than one. For example, there's one NFT artist who is a pretty big, I think, advertising artist. I forget what exactly he does in his day job, but he makes very beautiful environmental paintings, and he really likes that lo-fi aesthetic. So he made these really very almost Western viz dev, that painterly style of work, but in addressing lo-fi stuff or cyberpunk stuff. And I was like, oh, it looks like that Japanese aesthetic is very popular, whether it's anime or whatever, and you can call it lo-fi, or it's whatever floats your boat. I guess that's part of this overall trend, aesthetic trend.
Yeah, I think even if not literally taking obvious elements of anime, just the idea of, clearly we can see there's an audience trying desperately to seek pure escapism.
Yeah.
If you're a writer or an artist, maybe that's something you want to look into.
Yeah.
You can see there's a huge swath of people going in that direction. I wonder what you could do. It doesn't have to necessarily be anime, but that people want just fun characters, fun story, colorful, bright world, or just some fantasy. I don't know, just anything but here.
Yeah.
Anything but real life.
I think with everything that we have already predicted, I think things are going to get really expensive really fast. And they already have. As someone that pinches pennies, and I literally would calculate how much our groceries are going to be dollar for dollar before we even check out. So if we didn't meet our budget, I would take out food and replace it with cheaper food and reorganize our meal prep plan. As someone who does that, I have gotten very, very good at predicting the price of things, like the price of milk, the price of bananas, the price of whatever. I know generally how much they are on sale when they're in season, how much they get expensive when they're off season. I know when to cook certain things, that kind of thing, because I am a very, very good budgeter. The price of strawberries have doubled during, it's in season right now.
What is your favorite treat after a meal, Janet?
I like eating strawberries with chocolate.
How do you prepare it? So you get
I microwave the chocolate bar so that it's melted.
What kind of chocolate bar you get?
I get a 90-80% dark chocolate.
Oh. So healthy chocolate, basically.
Healthy chocolate, yeah. And I dip the strawberries in the melted chocolate. It's my treat. The price of strawberries have doubled during it's in season, and it's not going to go down. Like, that's not how inflation works. For the most part, it's not going to go down. So strawberries now are forever double the price that they used to be literally a year ago. That's a really, really crazy price increase. So now the price it costs to feed the both of us is almost doubled, in my opinion. So unless your income, your fancy Hollywood animation job, unless your freelance job, unless however you make money, unless your salary has doubled, your cost of living, at least your cost for food, and for some reason rent prices have decreased in some areas and just stayed the same. Your cost of living is now a lot more. It's already expensive to live in LA. So things are going to get really, really expensive really, really fast, especially if they lock us down again. So I wish...
I was trying to sell my original Les Paul because I have a new one for my birthday. I'm sure y'all remember that. But when I tried to sell it, I was looking up other models of the same one on Craigslist, because that's how I easily know how much should I sell this for. How much are other people selling it for? And I remember buying it off of that guy for about $800. I think it was a very fair price. It's a Les Paul Studio. It's kind of like your entry level, like kind of, if you think about it in cars, your entry level car that somebody painted gold. So I was like, okay, well then how much is it now? And people are selling their Les Paul Studios for about $1,200 now. Like, it's like the standard price, like all across the board. And I was like, what is going on? And then you said, I was like, oh, inflation. Yeah. I was like, oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah. So at first you thought, oh sweet,
I'm gonna make more money. But I was like, oh wait, no,
everything costs more.
It levels out.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think we can fairly easily predict that everything from food to literally everything is going to increase very, very soon if they go into lockdowns again.
Gas prices are almost $5 now.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll get there. It'll probably be in the mid $5 by next year.
Oh no!
Yeah. I wish I took. Actually, I might have taken video of it, but I don't want to go find it. But when we were in Texas, the gas prices were like $2, and I wanted to take a video of like before and after, like LA gas prices, Texas gas prices, $5 gas, $2 gas. I was like, sticker shock. That's about the only thing. I had sticker shock in like Arizona.
Arizona's crazy, right? Like
yeah.
in between towns, between Arizona and wherever, the gas is about like $1 something.
Yeah.
Remember?
I was like, oh my god.
I mean, there's no reason why. I mean, like, you're not gonna live there, but it's pretty crazy to see that number on a gas station.
When we're so used to seeing 4s and 5s. And I think you think video games are...
I think video games are overdue. I think they're going to be $70, but at this point, honestly, I don't see why most video games are $100.
I bet they can get away with.
I bet they could. I mean, like, I'm sure that angers a lot of gamers, but I'm like, man, like the things that you could do in video games now, and at the, you would probably need to pay more for them, and to like make everyone happy, whoever's making the video game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know.
I'm an artist. I'm not good at talking about economics.
No, it makes sense.
But you know what I mean?
Like, if you want good video games,
you have to pay a higher price
for experienced people to make them for you.
Yeah, at this point, like, man, I only play like 1 or 2 a year because there are only 1 or 2 good ones a year, barely.
Yeah.
So if I would, to make it better so I don't have to pay for microtransactions or have the full video game experience, I would pay a premium for that. I would pay a premium instead of like slow rolling all of the content. Just give me like a good, like how it was when I was a kid. I would just buy a cartridge.
Yeah, and it's the game.
And it's the game.
The finished
and it's
game.
really good. I would pay good money. Like if you were like, for example, let's say GTA 6 comes out and you give me an option where like I don't have to wait for the full experience of all the expansions and all that stuff. If I had to pay $200 for that and it's just done, like basically like when you buy what'd you call that? Final Cut, or what's the music one? Logic, or any of those programs, you can buy like a subscription, or you can just like, which is basically how they slow roll you all the DLC anyway.
Yeah.
Just give me the price, and I want to pay for all of it. Fuck off. Just give me your game. Just let me play your game.
Yeah.
Just give me the like, I would pay for just the best version of your game I could play without waiting for anything. And I just think, like, because I think that's a good recipe for like making everybody happy.
Yeah,
and there's lots to talk about how people who make video games are really, really unhappy. I'm looking at you, Blizzard. Looking at you, Blizzard.
Every company, honestly,
honestly, yeah.
And I think we're gonna get like $30 burgers very, very soon. It's already like $15 for a halfway decent burger.
Yeah, and it feels like here to eat out, it's like the quality of, it's like you either pay what you used to pay and the quality gets lower because the businesses have to keep up, or you pay more for something better, but it's a lot more than what you used to pay.
Yeah, because things are just more expensive. Everything's more expensive.
So just feeling the noticeable inflation is kind of disconcerting. Don't you think?
Yeah. So, without being completely like doomer.
You're such a doomer.
About all of this, I'm actually not. I actually jumped before, like when we were planning this podcast, I always jump to the positive.
I'm the
side.
doomer.
Yeah, you're actually.
I'm the doomer. And we're all. It's over.
You're like, there's no hope.
There's no hope. Is there hope, Janet Chan?
Yes, I think so. So going back to the thing about like cops, the interesting thing about that story and what we noticed is that the cops aren't gonna bother you for the most part, at least here.
Oh yeah, we did all sorts of foolish making your music video.
Yeah.
Where I feel like if things were like
normal,
pre-pandemic, I think the cops would be on our hair just because they're so bored.
Yeah. Like, hey kids, you punks.
Yeah, get off of here.
Yeah,
you're not supposed to be here.
To be filming.
But it was so easy for us.
It was so easy
to just roll up and be like, do our stupid thing.
Yeah.
And then leave.
Our plan for guerrilla filmmaking is that we both look young enough to pass as college students.
Yeah.
So our first excuse will be that, oh, we're sorry, we're just making our student film.
Oh, we go to Art Institute over there. Don't you see?
Yeah, we're just trying to do our homework.
Yeah, come on.
And then the second thing that, if that doesn't work, because I can really sound like a little girl, Vincent was like, you need to play up your I'm dumb and young. Because everyone thinks you're dumb and young.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I guess. Fine. I'll pretend.
And do what?
And be like, oh, I'm sorry, officer, I'm sorry, I didn't know. And then like really play up like the Valley Girl accent, like I'm sorry, I didn't know. I'm just trying to do my homework. Come on. And hoping that like they'll just be like, oh, God, I'm just so annoying. Just leave.
You said you would even ask them if they want to be in the video, and I was like, no way you would. Would you really?
Yes, I was like, at first, because we got like a little pestered by people. Like, some people just don't understand that like we're working with light here. It's golden hour. We have like
the light is disappearing. Like I was carrying the camera and like doing all the camera work, and I'm just looking at the light disappearing and seeing like people like wanting to be in the video or like heckling and like just trying to
catcalling.
And there was like a little kid in his like bike who was like wanted to be in the shot so bad.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know he's just a blob.
Yeah.
But like, yes, there are obstacles, sure. But I think like the world is kind of your playground right now.
Yeah. So I was really, for one, shocked that like the cops didn't do anything. or don't do anything. And even if they saw us, which there were none when we were filming, luckily, they weren't going to do anything. And if I saw a cop, I would be like, at first I thought, I'm going to get so mad because I hate authority, and like the kind of rage I get at mall cops or convention security guards. I'm like, you're just a mall cop. What am I to you? I'm like a helpless little girl. Like you just blow and I just go, fall over. And like you feel so strong now. You feel so strong picking on a little girl, like a tiny little girl. You didn't pick on Vincent. You didn't pick on him. Why'd you choose me? And then yeah. At first I was like, I'm gonna like go full Janet on them. If anyone like, I'd be like, come on, man, I'm just doing my music video. Just doing my music video, man. Leave me alone. Just 5 seconds. Come on. And I was so ready to do that, but then I realized, I was like, no, you win more flies with honey and not vinegar. So I was like, you know what I'd do instead? I'd be like, hey, everyone wants me in a music video. How about you arrest me and we'll get that on camera?
Like McLovin.
Yeah, it'll be so dope. Just come on, it'd be so cool to be in a music video. And then just like try to convince the cop to, and like,
I think 80% of cops would say no to you.
Probably. But it doesn't hurt to try. Long story short, you can get away with a lot right now. And that's one of the positives that I saw to, ironically, a really, really big negative, that like the fact that, you know, we're all locked down, and the reason why the police aren't going to do anything is because they're off handling much more important things, much more violent issues. But that's the perfect distraction for us artists who want to do a lot of art and not get in trouble for it. That's why there's so much graffiti now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
There's so much graffiti, like when I was a kid, that much graffiti.
And you can do a lot of guerrilla filmmaking. If you wanted to make a music video, if you wanted to make a short, and you didn't want to ask permission, you can do it. And it's really, really a cool plus, in my opinion. I think we would have had a much harder time filming our video, definitely, when things were normal.
There are a lot of people who are watching movies just because they're out. You know, we saw people, there were so many articles about, Black Widow did kind of good, and then no articles about how it just doesn't have legs.
Yeah.
And I just think people want anything to desperately entertain them. And I think on a smaller degree, entertaining some of you was interesting with Janet's vulgarity.
Yeah.
But I think, what if a bunch of us creative people just did that though? Mm-hmm. Would that satisfy a lot of people? Would it like get them out of, you know, their heads of how kind of upsetting a lot of things are right now? I think it would. I think, you know, that's the whole point of entertainment, you know.
Yeah. And
if people aren't satisfied with their entertainment, they should make it themselves. And that's what we try to do.
I was pretty shocked that, again, bringing it back to the beginning, the Tomorrow War got as high an audience score as it did, because I was like, pre-2020, this wouldn't have gotten that score. And I was like, I think literally everyone's expectations, we have been disappointed so many times that even like a very not all that great movie, in my opinion, is able to score so high in people's minds, because compared to a lot of other stuff that they're seeing, they're like, you know, compared to everything that's out, it's really not half bad. And that's kind of sad, in my opinion. But that's an opportunity for us artists to take advantage of that. Like, people want to be entertained right now. I was really shocked about the music video doing as well as it has done. Because I honestly
Again, we thought 10 people. 10 people watch our stupid music video. Our expectations
are always very, very low. Like, I very much understand that, like, there are some people who can make very good art, but if you don't have the audience for it, you don't have the audience for it. But also, I think it's a really important time now, more than ever, and I'm more so now that there are threats or impending doom that we're probably going to be locked down again, that you need to start learning how to be successful and make money online, no matter what it is you're doing. I think even like right before, like right in 2019, let's say, I think you can still get away with not really having much of a social media presence. I think it's still possible to be a little bit like not the best, like not very knowledgeable about how to use technology or whatever. But at this point, I think it's a requirement. I think if you want to make any kind of money, any kind of way, you want to get a job, you want to start your own small business or whatever, at this point, I think only the online businesses have truly like won in this whole situation, at least like stayed afloat.
And then a lot of times if you're trying to do that online stuff, you're not just doing the one thing anymore. You're wearing a lot of hats. Mm-hmm. You're making little movie ads for your Instagram. Mm-hmm. You're making YouTube videos. You're making, you're having an email list and all of this stuff. And I think long gone are the days where you could just be one thing. You kind of have to be a lot of things now. You have to be part drawer, part entertainer, part screenwriter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just at this point where you for the first time, like technology and the internet has truly allowed us to finally be like a jack of all trades, one man, one woman band in front of an audience of people that like your content or just like what you do. Mm-hmm. It's just that simple.
It's, I compare it to like in 2019, early 2020, I feel like the focus was on the specialists. Everyone gives you this advice, as at least I hope you have heard this advice, that you need to be a specialist in something. You can't just be like they would actually frown upon the whole jacks of all trade thing, where you aren't the best at anything. They actually want, if you wanted to be a doctor, you had to be like a neurosurgeon, or and you pick a specialty or whatever. That way you make more money. Same thing with like animation. If you want to get hired faster, you need to like be a title. You have to be a storyboard artist. You can't be both a storyboard artist but also, I like designing. I like doing like character designs. Like if you are too, if you have too much in your portfolio in that way, people will be confused and not know what you're good at or what you want to do even. So then they won't really know how to hire you or where you fit in. That was very like pre-pandemic. Now I think it's actually become the opposite. There is so much need for multidisciplinary artists. Someone who can do it all, who is the perfect mix of, I know how to edit videos, I know how to film videos, I know how to perform, I know how to graphic design, or
comfortably be in front of camera. That's tough.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Especially for artists.
Yeah.
All these things make you more valuable now, I think, than before. And in the same, I guess, luckily, being a jack of all trades is actually really, really well suited for an entrepreneurial type person, because when you are first starting any type of business, you're doing most of the work yourself. If you're lucky enough to have funding or whatever to like hire help or whatever, you should, but like most people, they start doing everything themselves, and which means that you, especially as like a YouTuber for example, you have to learn how to edit video, you have to learn how to perform, you have to learn how to be your own like photographer and graphic designer for like thumbnails and stuff, and all, like it's so many hats. And even in, for example, the guild negotiations, I'm not even sure what is happening anymore. I don't know if the negotiations are done, if it's postponed, or what is going on. But one of the main problems in animation, if you are still watching us for that kind of insider info, is that many jobs, in particular the storyboarding jobs, they are too much to handle for most storyboard artists. We don't like the fact that we want our jobs to just be storyboarding. We don't want to combine it with animation and also editing, because the program allows you to do that now, actually. That's how I learned how to video edit and how I learned the basics of animation. I didn't actually learn it in school. I taught myself through storyboarding. But the Storyboard Pro, for example, you can practically animate. Like, storyboards didn't used to be as involved as they are now, especially in animation, but now you can literally just see like a almost kind of animated version of what both your live action or your animated stuff is, before it's even made, truly made. And so these added responsibilities make it really hard for the storyboard artists to do their job,
because originally you were just responsible for drawing the
storyboards. Yeah. But now, especially, like, you can stitch together the storyboards and Storyboard Pro and everything, so a lot of problems arise when your deadlines are the same. It's not like they gave you an extra week. It's not like they're the same as they were before. Your only job was to draw storyboards. Now you have to kind of half animate them. Now you have to kind of edit them together before it's actually sent to an editor. And so you're being paid the same. If anything, you're being paid less. You're giving the same amount of time and more work. So it's become very difficult, and for the most part, the guild knows about a lot of these issues between trades for a while now. Didn't fix them last time. But they're trying to argue, one of the issues they're trying to argue that they want. And everyone should know that they want this. Like, it shouldn't be a secret, and it shouldn't be an issue, really. It's like common sense. But this is not so great. This new, because technology allows you to be able to do everything, it's not so great for like the job, but it's kind of great for if you work for yourself, because you have more value now when you work for yourself. Now that you know how to do everything, you can, if you now know how to do everything yourself for The Man, for Disney, for Warner Brothers, for
if you worked on making content for them, you know what it's like to just post consecutively, because they give you content. You're responsible for all this stuff, and you know how to do that yourself because you know how to manage your own thing.
Yeah, you know how to animate, you know how to edit, you have all these skills suddenly.
Why aren't you?
You can do that for yourself.
Yeah.
So that's the upside to, I think, this new day and age, like a post-COVID age. I think now that we all have to learn these skills, now that we all have to wear so many hats, there is every opportunity for you to take that and use it to benefit yourself, to make the things that you always wanted to make. And there's no one that's going to stop you now, and your competition is really low. Like, that, to me, as someone who I am not a negative person at all, I look at all these scary things that like we can easily predict, and I can see that like someone who knows how to take their jack of all trades, personality type, and skill set, and take advantage of the fact that like you can do anything and no one's gonna like stop you, especially everyone's too distracted by everything going on. Like, there's so much opportunity there.
Yeah, and I think we made the music video mostly for fun, for ourselves, because I think the number one complaint was everybody didn't have the patience to listen to your long gripes about animation and your why I quit my job at Disney thing. So we were like, okay, fine, we'll rap about it. And then you did, and then, I don't know, just seemed like a lot of fun. And I watched it a million times just because I liked watching my lady be silly. But if there's anything, if you watched it and you enjoyed it, if there's anything we want to impart with you, is that you can do that too. Right?
Yeah, I think
we just went out there and did it. There's no magic to it. I'm sure you're gonna come up with like a how I made this, or behind the scenes, whatever. But you'll see that it's just us with a camera, nothing too fancy or special at all.
Yeah.
So go out there and do it.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping you.
Just do it.
Like your lack of money, your lack of resources, whatever. Just do it with the things that you have. Because I think that's the thing. See, when I was in college, I always wanted to make a short, whether animated or not. That was one of my goals that I didn't actually accomplish in college, because we were so busy. If you're not in like the film major, like I don't know how anyone could have accomplished that feat. But I've always been researching and on top of film festivals and like entries to like hot new shorts on the internet. I think there's like a site called like Film Shorts a Week or something like that that I followed, and I was so inspired by so many people's short films or music videos or whatever. Not because they were amazing most of the time. It was because how
they were doing it.
They were
right?
doing it,
yeah,
and doing it with what they had. That like I had no excuse if I didn't have the money, if I didn't have the fancy camera or whatever. Because look, that guy's doing it, and it doesn't look perfect, but it's not about perfect. It's about finishing a project that you said you were going to do, and then doing it again and again and again, and improving upon it, and getting maybe noticed for it, maybe getting more funding for it somehow, learning how to get more funding for it the second time. And like all these things, like they add up to, like I love seeing someone who I follow. I would occasionally see like someone's first short film and then their second or third or their like thesis film, and I loved seeing that like their first film was complete garbage. Most people's first film usually is made on a potato, but then by their like thesis film, it's like it's circuit worthy. It's they put it on the film circuit. They're like, I need a job after I graduate, so I went all in. I like asked I did a family and friends like Indiegogo usually, or like their family and friend. Usually it says like dad donate like a few $1,000s to like make sure you got like some good cameras or something.
That's the way.
And I'd be so inspired by the progress, like seeing like they can't like look. Not everyone comes from like, oh, like somehow Disney just discovered you and now you're gonna direct, or they're gonna have you show run. Like usually like that's not the most relatable or inspiring to me. It's the people who were like, you know what, I can do it, and they did it, and then they did it again, and then usually they're the ones that become somebody to pay attention to in Hollywood. And I remember like this music video shoot made me remember of this thing I heard, I think Nolan say in an interview, where someone asked him like, what's the difference between like the short film that you made and like these big budget movies that you do now? And he was like, it's the same, with like more money, more cameras, more. And sometimes I wish I could just go back where it was simpler, where it was like one camera and a few actors, and like I could see how you scale this process up bigger and it's just a bigger nightmare and a headache with more moving parts, more people to manage, more stuff. And like maybe I romanticize the like independent filmmaker, the like guerrilla filmmaker, or just the indie artist a little bit too much, but I had a lot of fun, and I hope you can see that like you can do it too, like with whatever you have, with your iPhone. Tangerine was made with an iPhone.
Yeah, man. Tangerine was made on iPhone and just like the street as a backdrop. Very similar to us. We just used LA as a backdrop.
Yeah. So we are going to recommend.
We're going to recommend Greenland. I really like Greenland. I don't like Tomorrow War. I like Greenland. Like when I was griping about Chris Pratt being a not charismatic actor, Gerard Butler, charismatic as
Yeah, man.
that dude's so cool. You just want to be his buddy,
You just want him to be your dad.
and you want him
Your
to
uncle.
succeed throughout this crazy adventure. And when I was little, I was afraid of comets. When I was little, there's Deep Impact, and then there was Armageddon, and they both came out, and I would be so afraid of a comet, like just decimating our species. So the opening inciting incident, if you've ever seen Greenland, is hilarious.
Yes.
It is just like hilariously tragic.
Yeah.
And the rest of the movie is a very fun in that style of like, remember when comet movies
Disaster movies.
comet disaster
How are we
movies were
gonna
super
survive?
what are we gonna do? It's like that, and it's just a really fun, dumb, and that's what I kept thinking when I was just like wanting to reward myself after that day. I was just like, I just want to watch something as good as Greenland. Greenland isn't even like the best thing ever. But I just want us to watch something as awesome, as just like ridiculous as Greenland.
Yeah, I liked it. I didn't like super love it.
I super loved it.
There are other disaster movies that I feel like I enjoyed.
Like what?
If I had, I don't know, your top 10 list of disaster movies, I'm not sure Greenland is in that. Maybe in the top 10. I don't know about top 5, but it's a good movie. Good movie, especially like, again, if we're grading on a pandemic scale, it's actually a very good movie.
Yeah, I think like Greenland's an honest to goodness B movie.
Yeah.
That's a good B movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So we hope you watched that. Let us know if you liked it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you like this episode of the podcast, make sure you like, subscribe, jingle all our bells and buttons. Help us with that YouTube algorithm. Head over to honeynapson.com to help support this channel by buying some merch. Check out these other episodes over here to binge all our other episodes, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.